Happy full moon in Pisces. This Pisces full moon becomes exact on Saturday, September 14th at 12:33 a.m. Eastern Time in the US or 4:33 Greenwich Mean Time. We have a really interesting setup for this full moon as we have the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars all still in grounded earthy Virgo opposing the moon and also Neptune in watery etheric Pisces. We have strong astrological forces pulling us both to the earth and to heaven simultaneously. I like to think of this full moon as an invitation to embody our ascended selves. Whenever the moon is in Pisces, our intuitive and psychic faculties are likely to be strengthened. We have a really terrific opportunity to connect with our higher self, spirit guides, and loved ones who have passed over. The energetic climate is ripe for us to receive guidance regarding our journeys ahead. So be on the lookout for signs and keep your ears open during this time. Schedule some meditation time for yourself and intend to connect with your higher self and spirit guides to receive guidance. It would also be a great time to do some intuitive writing. And here's a really terrific exercise that I learned a couple years ago from one of Matt Kahn's group calls. Write a letter to your angels, asking them all the questions you have about your life, then write the answers as if your angels were writing through you. You'd be really surprised at the clarity you get from doing this exercise. Simple as that. Write a letter to your angels, bunch of questions, and then write the answers. Intend to channel the answers. You'd be really surprised at how clear it can be. The next month would also be a great time to visit a trusted psychic for a reading. As hard as we dig for answers, it is generally always a lot easier to read for someone else than to read for oneself. This is because when you're reading for someone else, you aren't attached to any outcomes or emotions. You're not in their journey. However, as much as psychic readings can be incredibly helpful along your journey, getting too many readings, especially from different readers, can be detrimental. When you're in a confusing period in your life, your desperation for answers can oddly enough draw you to psychics who aren't very good or whose channels aren't very clear that day. You might leave the reading feeling more confused, only to visit another psychic who tells you something totally different. I know this from experience. I've been through this. When I was at my most confused in my life, I pretty much got nothing helpful from psychics and was actually led astray, very astray, by several psychics. Later, when my life smoothed out a bit, I recognized that the reason I went through that was that my soul was asking me to learn discernment, to learn to trust my own intuition, and also to surrender to the reality that I didn't actually need to know all the steps ahead of me in order to make a move. I'm so grateful that I was taught all three of these lessons pretty profoundly in a very short period of time. Now I consider myself an expert on intuition and discernment. My psychic readings for others are extremely accurate, and my personal intuition about my own life is also pretty accurate. Though, as I said, it's always easier to read for others. Most importantly, though, I have given up the incessant desire of the ego to know exactly every step that's ahead. I've become much more comfortable with the concept of free will, and that in fact the future is not set in stone. Trial and error is okay. It's a natural part of being human. This is where the Virgo aspect of this full moon chart comes in. With 3 planets plus the Sun in Virgo, the energies are pushing us ahead in the physical world. The full moon also squares Jupiter in Sagittarius. Jupiter is the planet of good fortune, and in its own sign of Sagittarius, it is of course amplified. This square with the full moon means that good luck is in the air. To put it directly, taking calculated logical risks are likely to really pay off over the 3 days before and after this full moon, and also more indirectly over the entire course of the next 28 days. So my advice is to be bold and direct in both your actions and words. With Mercury still in Virgo, the theme of communication is highlighted, so be extra clear in your speech with others. People will likely be respectful of directness in dialogue. With Venus still in Virgo, the theme for romantic relationships is negotiation and working things out. Now is the time to bring up to your partner anything that has been bothering you. It's a time to clear the air. Long-term couples have the opportunity to see a strengthening of their partnership if communication is clear, allowing life and you to be new. As a mutable water sign, one of the lessons that Pisces teaches us is how to shift, change, and grow gracefully. Pisces has no problem being totally different from one moment to the next, just as water has no qualms when gravity funnels it from a wide flowing river into a violent waterfall. This full moon is inviting you to allow yourself and your life to be totally different than it once was. Do you ever get stuck or fixated on the past? You're certainly not alone. For most of my life, I've carried around the notion that things were always better before. But I've come to realize deeply that that's nothing but an illusion. One of the few guarantees in life is that things will never be the same. Have you ever tried to recreate the magic of a past relationship or a fun time with a friend, only to find that it's never the same the second time around? It certainly doesn't mean it can't be fun or valuable the second time around, but we can never really truly live the same moment twice. Be really honest with yourself right now and ask yourself whether there is something from the past, an ex-lover, an ex-friend, a place you lived, a job you worked, or a life experience you had that you frequently long to get back to. If something like that does come to mind, then ask yourself this question: what am I truly missing about that person, place, or thing? For example, oftentimes when we are mentally pining over an ex-lover, we are actually missing the feeling of being held or appreciated. If we are missing a certain time period in our life, like high school or college, for example, we may be missing feeling spontaneous, careless, and willing to take risks. The truth is that we aren't actually missing the person, job, or life experience itself. What we are missing is the feelings that those things evoked. We will never be able to replicate the specific relationships or life experiences that we think we're missing, but we absolutely can replicate the feelings. Once you have identified the feelings that you're actually missing, then ask yourself how you can bring more of those feelings into your life now in small doses. For example, it may not be practical, prudent, or even desirable to replicate some of the tomfoolery of your teenage years, but how could you bring fun and spontaneity into your life now in small doses? Do you need to give yourself some me time off of work and other family responsibilities to have some fun with a friend? Do you need to meditate less and listen to some music you enjoy or watch a funny TV show? Would your inner child appreciate if you planned a trip to a place you've always wanted to go and left some unscheduled days where you can be spontaneous? When you become aware of the reality that you aren't actually missing people or experiences, but you are missing feelings, you can then put yourself in the driver's seat and give yourself exactly what you've been missing. What you thought you were missing also points to those parts of you that may remain unhealed. For example, when pining over a lost lover, we are actually missing feeling held, appreciated, and loved. Without that ex-lover, we may have difficulty feeling appreciated, loved, and valuable, and we may not ever get held and caressed. So what this actually points to, on a deeper level, is that one or both of our parents probably didn't do such a great job holding us and or making us feel appreciated, loved, and valuable. A realization like this could show you exactly what you still need to work on with a therapist, life coach, or healer like myself. Or, of course, you can always work on these things by yourself if you feel like you can handle it. If you want to attract the next person into your life who will make you feel loved, appreciated, and valuable, and who will hold and caress you, the best thing you can do is to cultivate such a deep sense of self-love and self-appreciation that you no longer feel like you need someone to show you that love or to hold you. It's that feeling of desperation that will drive us to continue down a cycle of dysfunctional relationships. It's that inner desperation to feel loved, appreciated, and valuable, and to feel held. And when we finally get to a point of healing where we have such a self-love, self-appreciation, even a self-admiration, that we no longer feel that desperation any longer, that's exactly when you're likely to attract someone who actually is going to be able to give you those things, but not because they're the only source of that in your life, but because they are enhancing those feelings of being loved, appreciated, and being held. They are enhancing them. So when you get to that point that the desperation feels like it's no longer there, that's likely when you'll attract exactly what you've been wanting for a very long time. When you truly, truly begin to heal the wounds of the past, you will begin to recognize that you actually feel like a totally new person. Literally a totally new person. And in a very real sense, this is a true phenomenon. Your cells are constantly replacing themselves. Your energy field is likewise constantly evolving. And think back 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Do you feel now like a totally different person? Hopefully the answer is yes. Hopefully the answer is yes. I mean, I look back 5-10 years ago, literally the only thing that's the same about me is my name, and that I still like sports, basically. That's it. And I like animals. I still like animals, but that's about it. And I'm funny. That's always been the same. But other than that, I'm literally a new person. The one constant thread, the one actual constant thread for everyone is your consciousness. That's always there. There's always a you that is the operator of the vehicle. So, and that you doesn't even die when your physical body dies. That you continues. You are always conscious. Even when you sleep, you are still you. You are still a consciousness, just operating in a different dimension. So when you evolve, if you want to evolve, you have to allow yourself to become different. It's as if you're driving your car as the operator of the vehicle. And if you choose all of a sudden that you want to level up, all of a sudden your car turns from a Ford Focus into a Ferrari. You have that right. A lot of people don't recognize intuitively that they have a right to shift and evolve. And a lot of it has to do with when we were growing up, how invested was our self-image in other people? How invested was our self-image in how other people viewed us? And for someone whose image was very much invested in that growing up, it can be difficult to allow yourself to be different. It can be scary. It can be scary to evolve and to think about what other people are going to think about you. And I've been on the wildest journey, the wildest roller coaster of evolution since my ascension really began about 11, 12 years ago. And I can tell you it's very strange. It's a very strange thing to grow in front of people and to see how they respond to you. Some people will allow you to be different, and they will respect who you've become. And I've found that those people are often people who are on an evolutionary journey themselves. But there are people in your life who won't want to see you any differently. This can happen a lot with family members. You know, family members, parents may treat you like you're 15 when you're 40 or 50. That relationship may not shift a whole lot, right? But there are people who will allow you to be different. But regardless, that's something to overcome. That's something to overcome. if you want to evolve, you have to allow yourself to become different, and you have to allow for others to have ideas about the person that you're becoming. And some of them may not be the most positive ideas, you know? I mean, raise your hand. How many of you have had people in your life that once you started getting into listening to audio transmissions like this and, going down the rabbit hole on YouTube and talking about it with other people or on Facebook, all of a sudden there's a few people who think you're a little nuts, right? Raise your hand if that's happened to you, right? So there's no way around it. We can't possibly evolve if we don't allow ourselves to evolve. Now, here's the truth, is that your ascension, the ascension energies are going to pull you along no matter what. So you will evolve no matter what, but the difference is that if you decide to go with the flow and evolve consciously, you are likely to really experience a much quicker evolution, and you're likely to draw to yourself the things that you truly want in your life much more quickly. However, if you kind of just go kicking and screaming as the universe tries to drag you along your ascension path, things might take a little bit longer. So it is up to you in a lot of ways how quickly you evolve. And what's amazing about the ascension process is that the mind is so powerful that just by choosing to be different in some way, you can become different. And I'll give you an example. One of my many spiritual gifts is that I have the ability to perform very powerful psychic energy healing. And this is one of the things that I do with clients. I do quantum energy healing sessions. And pretty much after every session that I do one of these with a client, they report feeling amazing, feeling light, feeling energized, feeling like, someone told me this week that they felt like they wanted to go run a marathon, right? right after the energy work. But I always remind people that it's up to them how much of a difference the quantum energy healing ultimately makes. For one person, they might just enjoy the good feeling and the boosts that they get and the lightness, and it might last for a couple hours afterwards, and then maybe they might slide back into kind of the state of consciousness that they were at before the session. But for someone else, they might seize the opportunity and heed my advice and allow themselves to become a totally different person. And with the power of the mind, they can then see permanent changes in their health and well-being. And I've had clients like this who have seen permanent changes in physical health issues and emotional health issues after doing the quantum energy healing. So it's completely up to the person receiving how much they're going to accept. And this is true for any sort of healing modality. There, of course, a lot of it has to do with how talented is the healer themselves. Some are going to be more talented than others. But a big part of it is also how receptive to healing are you? How much are you willing for the healing to make a difference? Is there a part of you that still wants to hold on to not being healed because that part of you thinks it's getting something out of that that's more important than what it would get if it were healed? And that's a pretty powerful thing to think about. Think about that. If you're someone who still is struggling, if you feel like you're struggling physically, emotionally, mentally, or all three, or spiritually, or all four, think about this. Is there a part of me that still wants to hold on with every last straw to this feeling that I get when something doesn't work or doesn't help, or I stay stuck? What am I getting out of staying stuck? Right? That's a great question to ask yourself. And again, you don't want to swing too far to the other side and say, and start blaming yourself for when you go to a healer and your life doesn't miraculously change, because there's also your life plan, and there's so many factors involved. And also, it just may need that you need a lot of work. It may not be one session. You may need, energy healing. You may need nutrition work. You may need acupuncture. You may need, all sorts of stuff, right? And that's the case for a lot of people, is that especially with physical issues, you need a lot of different modalities working together to really make a big difference, at least from what I've found. There are miraculous stories out there, like I've kind of talked about. It's just, one thing with the healer or one supplement or one thing just totally works and the problem is gone. But more often it's a variety of things. So don't blame yourself when you go to, a healing session and it doesn't completely heal you. Don't think it's your fault. But however, know that you do have the power to enhance. You have the power to enhance the efficacy of the healing by allowing yourself to become totally different and by doing your best to let go of whatever that shadow side within that says, no, I want to stay stuck. If you feel like you have that shadow within that's like, I want to stay stuck, I like staying stuck, whatever that part of you is, just, look inside, see if that part's there. And there's not much to do with it except to become aware of it and to say, well, really what you can do with it is say, I see you. I see you. Dear part of me, I see you. And I respect you for your pain. I respect your pain. I feel your pain. I know you're hurting, and that's the only reason you're acting out like this. That's getting into some shadow work, which I talk about in a lot of my other work. But yeah. So I know I went off on a little tangent here with this. I just wanted to make that really clear about how powerful the mind is and about how when we choose to evolve consciously with every fiber of our being, that we're going to evolve more quickly. That's just the case, because we're then aligning our free will with what's in our life plan instead of fighting. We can go off and go, let's say your life plan has this straightened arrow of a path planned out for you that your soul says, okay, best case scenario, this is what you're going to do, and this is how fast you're going to evolve. But a lot of times what happens, we stray. We stray from the path because we're afraid, or because we get, there's alluring things out there, like, in the 3D world that that we find ourselves lost in for a while. But then we come back to the path because the universe will always do what it needs to do to pull us back to the path. It will not let us stray for too long. The magnetic forces of your life plan will pull you back to it eventually, right? But when we say with our free will, I am consciously evolving, I'm ready, let's go, let's do this, I'm ready to be different, I'm ready to be healed, it makes a huge difference. And all this is really, really very apropos for exactly the energies right now, that grounding force of Virgo, plus that the possibilities, the etheric possibilities that Pisces represents, right? So use this energetic gateway to allow more of that soul essence to shine through you than ever before. Be willing to allow even just this transmission, even just listening to this, be willing to allow this to speak to your cells and really make a visceral, permanent, positive difference in your life. And the other thing is, when you do make that decision to consciously evolve, that illusion that the past was better than the present, and it's all it is in 100% of circumstances, it's an illusion, that illusion will naturally melt away. With Mars in Virgo, the perseverance and willpower will always bring rewards. Mars in Virgo loves determination. Okay, so if you align with Mars in Virgo, like I said, you be determined, you persevere, you don't give up, you quit, you just like I'm kind of being your cheerleader right now and talking you up. That's what you got to do to yourself. That's something that I have learned to do with myself, because I used to be the complete opposite. I used to be constantly berating myself in my own mind. If you've listened to my other work, I talk about how it was so bad. I used to literally physically punch myself in the face, like many times, not just once in a blue moon, sometimes every day. That's how bad my self-esteem was, and that's how bad I was to myself years ago. And now I'm my own cheerleader. I'm constantly talking myself up. This is how I'm talking to myself most of the time in my head. I'm like, yeah, we can do this. Let's go. This is exciting. You're doing great. You're going to do great. So and that's also a Mercury in Virgo kind of theme too. Mercury's about communication. So if you take all these Virgo energies, it's determination, perseverance, talking to yourself, nicely. Being your own life coach in your head. This is all the stuff that's really going to propel you forward into being that totally new, evolved, healed person that you're meant to become. And it's a process. You're going to be more healed tomorrow than you were today, and you're going to be more healed a year from now than you will be tomorrow. So are you ready to accept this invitation into mastery? If you're ready, raise your hand right now. I'm looking at all you raising your hands through the ether, and I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled. And do this as well. Declare that you are ready to let go of all that no longer serves you. Just making that declaration really takes courage, because there might be some things within that you know deep down, this relationship, this thing, this job, this way of being or thinking or talking to myself is not serving me. And just by declaring that you're willing to let go of that, be willing for the universe to do what it needs to do with you in order to clear those things you no longer need from your energy field. Let me tell you something that I do every full moon, and I can't wait to do it, tomorrow night or when it's clear up here in New York. I every time there's a full moon, I'm a night owl, and I love to walk my dog at like midnight, right? And I'll be walking my dog down the street, nobody around. I live in the suburbs, right? And I just stare at the moon like a wolf. I open up my chest and I say, "Dear moon, break me. I want you to break me. Take away from me everything I don't need." Because I know, moon, you know better than I do. Dear grandmother moon, you know better than I do. Take what I don't need. I'm ready to let it go. I'm open. Just take it from me. And that declaration is very powerful, because it's really showing yourself, the universe, your higher self, that you are ready to evolve and you are consciously desiring to evolve. Here's another great full moon ritual that I would highly recommend, especially for this Pisces full moon, is make a fire. Go outside. It's late summer if you're up here in Europe or the US or Canada. It's a nice time to do it. The weather's a little cooler. And make a fire. Take some piece of paper and just rip the paper up into smaller pieces. Write something you would like to let go of on each piece of paper. And examples can be toxic people, patterns of low self-esteem, patterns of speaking to yourself, addictions, bad habits, even a career if you want to somehow get out of it, Write anything you're ready to let go of on these pieces of paper, and ritualistically throw each piece of paper into the fire, watch it burn one by one, and as you watch it burn, imagine that thing leaving your energy field permanently. Leaving your field permanently. That's a really great full moon exercise, and it's really perfect for this full moon in Pisces. So I'm wishing you a miraculously transformative full moon in Pisces. I am Matthew John. If you're not familiar with who I am an internationally known spiritual teacher, spiritual mentor, speaker, intuitive healer, and quantum energy healer, working directly with the Ascended Masters. I offer inspirational and educational videos and articles on my website, which is youareadivinehuman.org, all spelled out, youareadivinehuman.org. And I also offer powerful private sessions worldwide via phone and Skype. Doesn't matter what country you're in, we can connect via Skype. And what I'm doing now is looking to enroll some new people for my very popular spiritual mentoring program. And this is an all-inclusive healing program. All-inclusive, 4 sessions, 5 sessions, or 6 sessions with me. Plus you get some bonus webinars to do on your own time. You get homework in between, some things to do on your own time. And the intention is really to move you to a new place physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. What you get in the 4-session package, we start out with a 90-minute soul plan reading and spiritual mentoring combo session. My soul plan readings are super cool. What I do is I'm connecting in with my helper guides and also your spirit guides to read your life plan. I'm reading what's in your life plan. What does the future have for you? What did your soul really want you to learn in this lifetime? What did your soul really want you to bring forth onto this earth into this lifetime? And also, what is the nature of your karmic relationships? What is going on with your husband or your wife or your brother or your sister or your son or your daughter? Think of those family members that you've had the most difficulty with. What is the karmic relationship? What happened in past lives? What is meant to be learned by both parties? What did the souls of each party intend? The second session, as I talked about, we do the quantum energy healing. That is really, we're just digging in, hands-on, doing some visualizations and also some energy healing, some psychic energy healing to heal and let go and transform, work on each of your chakras, and to clean up your aura, clear anything you don't want in there. Anything you don't want. There's a lot of stuff you can pick up from the etheric field that may be with you in your aura, and we clear all of that. You also get an intuitive nutrition reading. This is for your physical health, whether you have any sort of chronic issue that you've been dealing with for a long time. Maybe you've been from doctor to doctor and you can't get any help. Well, let's look into what we can do for you with simply nutrition and supplements. And you'd be amazed at the types of stories I've heard from people who have done the reading with me and taken my suggestions to their doctor, and all of a sudden they're taking the supplements and boom, they're feeling much better within sometimes a week. You also get a 8 to 10 page report in your email, usually within about a week, which has so many suggestions. It has specific affirmations to heal your condition. It has specific exercises and other meditations for you. Just a whole bunch of really great information that you won't find all in one document anywhere else. You also get a chakra scan and report in that third session as well. Reading all of your chakras, reading how your chakras are functioning, the size of the chakra, how fast it's spinning, what direction it's spinning in, and all that really means something. And I'm going to let you know what it means. And as I said, you also get a report with that. In the fourth session, we do the Starseed Discovery session, which is probably the most fun of all the sessions because you get to take a trip to your home planet. Most of you listening to this are, in fact, Starseeds, if not all of you. And if you're not sure where you're from, or even if you know where you're from, but you would like to go there, and who wouldn't, this is great because you literally get to take a trip in the astral plane to your home planet. People will cry, feel just ecstasy. It's like going home. It really feels like going home. And you get all that. You get 2 of my most popular webinars too, Putting the Past in the Past and Mastering Your Intuition. That's just package A. Package B, you get all that plus a past life regression. And this past life regression is really different than what other practitioners do. For me, what I do in my past life regressions is the intention is for you to go back to the most relevant lives that have to do with your soul lessons. So whatever we talked about were your soul lessons that we identified in that first session, the soul plan reading. These are the exact live that we want you to experience so you understand why you have these lessons and you understand the karma that you're balancing. You understand what happened to that other person, what happened with your husband in that other life that you guys are balancing this karma in this lifetime. So you really get to experience it yourself. And if you do the package C, which is definitely recommended, you get all that plus a future life progression. You take an astral journey forward to your own future in this lifetime, which is absolutely fascinating. I mean, who wouldn't want to experience their future beforehand? It's your future on your highest possible timeline, so it's always going to be a good future. And you get all that, and you also get 4 additional free webinars in my package C. And I also do offer package D, which is all that plus optimization coaching sessions where we continue the work we did in the first 6 sessions. We continue with nutrition support as well. And it's really ideal for someone who's looking to just do the ultimate. That's why I call it the ultimate healing and optimization package. Okay? So you can check that all out on my website. And it's youaredivinehuman.org, and just go to private sessions and click on Spiritual Mentoring Awakening Coaching. And I do also offer each and every one of these sessions individually. So if you feel like the package is not going to work for you for whatever reason, but there's something in there that really interests you, you can go ahead and you can just book an individual session. And if you have any questions about the package or about what I do, or if you have a brief personal question or any general questions about this full moon or about anything I've talked about, the best way to contact me is to go to my website, youaredivinehuman.org, and in the bottom right corner, you'll see a little tab pop up. It has my picture there. It says Matthew John, have questions, ask Matthew. All you do is you click on that tab, you type in your message, it'll say I'm away, and it'll ask you for what your email address is. Type in your email address, and I will get back to you usually within 12 hours or less. Just depends on how busy I am, but usually 12 hours or less. Okay. All right, everyone. It's been such a pleasure. I do appreciate you listening to this transmission. I hope you're feeling uplifted by this. Again, it's about grounding and your highest possible possibility. Allow yourself to evolve. Allow yourself to break through old patterns during this full moon and beyond. With my love, this has been Matthew John.